Hello everyone, my name's James. I'm an iOS developer in Southeast England, so I make apps that run on iPhones and iPads. If you're watching this, I probably sent it to you, and I assume you already have some kind of interest in facial weakness. If not, then this is probably going to be a bit boring, but feel free to watch anyway, I'm not judging. For those of you who are watching who do work with facial weakness, maybe stroke or facial tumours or head injury, I've got just one kind of simple-ish question for you. Would you like a device that can record the three-dimensional position of 52 facial features 60 times a second? Now, you might think that's a weirdly specific question, maybe a bit too technical. What on earth would you even do with something like that? Well, whether it's a weird question or not, the answer is that you might have one in your pocket right now. Here's mine, for example. It's pretty unremarkable nowadays, to be honest. Millions of people have one. Here's another one, in fact. This one's a bit bigger, doesn't fit in my pocket, but it can do what I'm interested in. These devices allow me to make apps like this. This app is an app I've made called Face to Face. It's designed to guide individuals living with facial weakness to complete facial exercises, which may increase strength and symmetry in their facial muscles. This little video shows just a small part of the app. This handsome young man has just selected an exercise, has received some instructions on how to complete it, and can see some live measurements of the strength and symmetry of his face. This app really is real, and it really is currently live on the iOS App Store. If you've got an iOS device, you can search for it and download it for free right now. If you want a deeper overview of its features, why not quickly watch the intro video, but don't forget to come back here, because what I'd like to do now is explain a little bit more about what I'm doing next in this app. Meet Floella. She's recently survived a stroke. She doesn't like how it's affected the appearance of her face, and wants to regain her facial symmetry. Except, of course, she hasn't really. The lady in this stock photo isn't really called Floella, it's just an example. Meet Ken. He's diagnosed with Bell's palsy. He does not think that facial exercises are helping and wants a way to measure his progress. Except, of course, again, he hasn't really, but someone could have. Meet Owen. He's a speech and language therapist. He's worried that his patients are not completing their exercises, or they're not doing them correctly. And yes, you guessed it, Owen isn't real either. This is a stock photo, but someone like Owen probably is real. Meet Dr. Elizabeth. She's a stroke consultant. She wants to create effective facial exercise regimes tailored to individual patients. And do I need to say it again? It's a stock photo. And finally, meet Dr. Ranj. He's an oncologist specialising in brain and facial tumours. He wants a minimally invasive way to monitor for recurrence, ideally remotely. And, like all the examples I've used here, Dr. Ranj is a fictional character representing a real-world need. All photos are stock photos posed by actors and actresses. Floella starts using Face to Face. She uses it as and when she wants to check her facial symmetry. She's upset with how her stroke has affected her appearance, so she likes the AR mode. Oh, didn't I mention you don't have to use a mirror image in the app? Why would you? It's not a mirror. Remember I mentioned you can track 52 facial features 60 times a second? That's only the start of what you can do with this data. Let's go on. Ken starts using Face to Face as well. He uses the app multiple times a day to see if he can beat his high scores. He regularly reviews his progress in the calendar. Owen asks his care receivers to use Face to Face. Owen can see the exercises his care receivers are performing. He can select any exercise to replay it and view it from any angle. Now we're starting to get into the more proof of concept side of Face to Face. Everything up until now you can do with the app in its current form on the App Store. But this bit isn't quite ready for public release yet, but it does work. Dr. Elizabeth analyses raw face-to-face data. She's never had measurements this detailed and accurate. She notices trends which are impossible to detect before. Look at all that juicy data, 52 facial features 60 times a second. Compare individuals with similar facial weakness performing different exercises, or different repetitions. Maybe certain conditions recover better with certain exercises. Let's get some raw definitive data now. Dr. Ranj asks his patient to use Face-to-Face. The app is free for them to download and use. Once a week, the app notifies them to perform a single exercise which measures their facial symmetry. The results go back to Dr. Ranj for review. Well, bingo. Floella improves the symmetry of her mouth from 71% to 92%. This gives her the confidence to visit the bingo hall with her friends. She confidently and clearly calls out when she wins. Good for you. Ken keeps up with his exercises and recommends the app to his support group. He's noticing how much easier it is to hold liquids in his mouth, which allows him to enjoy a Guinness down his local pub. Enjoy alcohol responsibly. Ooh, that's clever. Owen's care recipients love using the clever iPad things. They share one amongst themselves in their care home, and exercising has become a normal part of their daily routine. He now knows that after a bit of a shaky start, Derek is exercising regularly. Meanwhile, he's reminding Betty, who's recovering on track, to do even better by focusing on her upper lip. Congratulations, Professor. Dr. Elizabeth is now Professor Elizabeth, in part due to her research into effective facial weakness rehabilitation exercises. Her validation of Face-to-Face has given 52 NHS trusts around the country the confidence to use it. We've caught it early. Dr. Ranj receives, on average, 3 alerts a month of patients with newly emergent asymmetry, which is too subtle for them to notice themselves. If further investigation confirms a recurrent cancer, it's at an earlier stage than it would otherwise be detected. Now, if you're watching this video, you probably already know what's at stake with facial weakness. But even then, I hope these stories have given you a better appreciation for the hugely wide-reaching applications for software like this. There are 1.3 million stroke survivors in the UK, the population of Leeds and Manchester combined. Now, not all stroke survivors live with facial weakness, but not all facial weakness is caused by stroke. There's a huge market for this software. And Owen and his colleagues have their work cut out. There are 20,000 speech and language therapists in the UK. Fans of mental arithmetic will be able to tell you that 65 stroke survivors per speech and language therapist. I think we need to do whatever we can to help them, don't you? So, here's my bottom line. Complete the following sentence. If Face-to-Face could, what? I would ask my boss for funds to buy it. I've made this technology and made it available to the public, but if you want to see it in your clinical environment, then I first need to know what it should do so I can build it. So tell me, what would make this technology worthwhile to you? What exactly does it need to do? What would you want to do with it? You only have to tell me, and I'll make it. So how exactly do you tell me? Well, you could just comment on this video, but the best way is to send me an email to mrjameslcoleman@gmail.com. I'm also an old man, so I've got a LinkedIn account where you can connect with me. linkedin.com/in/jcolemanapps. Of course, if you want to try Face-to-Face, you can scan this QR code with your iOS device, or if that's a bit awkward, you can always just search the store, the iOS App Store, for Face-to-Face facial exercises. Well, all that remains now is for me to say thank you for watching, and I hope to hear from you soon. Let's revolutionise facial weakness rehabilitation together.